This is a very unusual period. In fact, in my career, I've never seen it go negative, and I've been in the business for nearly 45 years. So this is uncharted territory. And in fact, the last time we saw meaningful declines in the money supply was in the Great Depression. And then we went off the gold exchange standard and lost all discipline. That's nothing like what we've been through. We have been through a massive supply shock, two of them, COVID related, and then the Russia invasion of Ukraine. Very different. Innovation today is being treated like value was in the late 90s. And we know how that ended. Maybe the Fed will start talking a little bit more about some of the very significant declines in inflation and outright prices.
In this video, Cathy Wood expresses her major concerns for the 2023 economy. Wood highlights the incredibly unusual scenario the market is facing that has not been seen before since the Great Depression, that is scaring big-time investors. Make sure you stay until the end, because Wood reveals what the future of AI will look like and how to profit off this massive investment opportunity. Now sit back, relax, and let's see what Cathy has to say.
Let's talk about monetary policy. So M2 is now down to zero growth on a year-over-year basis, and that's as of November. It does look like November went negative. And we believe the negative growth rate will continue, if not accelerate to the downside during the next 3 to 6 months. This is a very unusual period. In fact, in my career, I've never seen it go negative, and I've been in the business for nearly 45 years. So this is uncharted territory. And in fact, the last time we saw meaningful declines in the money supply was in the Great Depression, which was, of course, a very deflationary period. So it's very interesting to hear the Larry Summers of the world hearkening back to the 70s in terms of expectations for inflation. He's ignoring a lot of real-time indicators, a lot of market indicators, and we'll spend a lot of time on that in a minute. Now, when I say uncharted territory, if you look at the average money supply growth for the last 25 years and the last 50 years, a very long time, the average money growth has been 7% at a compound annual rate. So, zero negative is a huge departure, and we believe highly deflationary. And we're beginning to see that as I will illustrate as we get into the market indicators. The Fed funds rate went to 4.5% in December, and it does appear that the Fed is determined to take it up again. They want nothing to do with a legacy associated with inflation. And as we've suspected for some time, they are unanimous because there are people like Larry Summers out there saying, you're going to be responsible for another run at 70s style inflation, which was highly destructive. And many times I've mentioned here that the 70s inflation is nothing like the inflation we just experienced. The 70s inflation started in the mid-60s with the Vietnam War, with the Great Society programs, one after another, and then we went off the gold exchange standard and lost all discipline. That's nothing like what we've been through. We have been through a massive supply shock, two of them, COVID related, and then the Russia invasion of Ukraine. Very different circumstance. One led to lasting inflation. And this one, we believe, as I've mentioned many times before, will be much like what we saw in the early 1920s after a pandemic and World War I. Inflation collapsed. It actually ended up at negative 15% in June of 1921. And we do believe this year we're going to drop below 2%. And in fact, the bond market believes it. The bond market's break-even rate is 2% for the next 10 years. In other words, the bond market is expecting 2% inflation for 10 years. And this is the Fed's goal. The bond market thinks we are already there. And in fact, we believe the bond market will continue to rally, meaning long-term interest rates coming down relative to short-term interest rates, inverting the yield curve. Right now, we're at 70 basis points, a little more than that. And it is interesting now to watch the bond market disengage somewhat from the Fed's rhetoric. And the stock market has not done that yet. In fact, the stock market is behaving like the Fed is right. The energy sector is reaching for all-time highs, even though oil prices peaked in 2008, and we believe are in secular decline. On February 1st, we'll probably see another 25 or 50 basis points, so we will be at 4.75 or 5%. Now, most of the Fed governors are saying roughly 5%, maybe a little bit more, and then we're done. Maybe the Fed will start talking a little bit more about some of the very significant declines in inflation and outright prices that we have begun to see. Artificial intelligence, the breakthroughs here are absolutely mind-blowing. Check out ChatGPT. This is a derivative, I believe, of GPT-3 and OpenAI service. And what you can do is prompt ChatGPT to write an essay on the history of space exploration. And boom, less than a minute, it's there. And it's pretty well written, too. And I'm a stickler on writing. Now, many people are horrified at this thought and what it means for education, but we're not, because the reason it's able to do this is it scours the internet from the beginning of internet time and writes the essay. Well, guess what? Yes, the internet includes a lot of facts and figures, but it also includes misinformation as well as creative writing and science fiction. So the history of space exploration is going to have all kinds of mistakes associated with misinformation or creativity. And so it's going to change education. There will be a lot more fact checking if a student decides to have ChatGPT write an essay. But we already know that ChatGPT is scoring better than the national average on the SATs. And it's going to get better with time because these machine programs learn with time. There's another app that's out there called Lensa AI, put out by Stable Diffusion. And within, I think it was in 5 days, it got 1 million users. This app creates many profile pictures for anyone, just based on searching your Facebook and other social presence. So Brett Winton, our director of research, did it, and I must say that the photos look terrific. So he's now using one for his profile picture. We also have DALL-E 2. DALL-E 2 is, again, with a prompt. You can say, I'd like to see pictures of myself in all kinds of sports uniforms. And boom, 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 populated very, very quickly. And by our estimates, some of its output today, and it's going to get better, would probably cost $150 to $300 and take 4 hours or more for an artist to draw. And this took, just a few minutes. So, these are already, what we believe is going to happen is that artificial intelligence is the equivalent of the assembly line for the Industrial Revolution. But this is the knowledge revolution. And try these out yourself. You'll see how powerful they are. And we're hearing programmers say that, you know, you have to know how to program if you're going to do this, but it saves them 50% of their time. So it's really astonishing what's going on. Some of the others, lots of innovation has already taken place. We are not just ready for prime time, we have entered prime time. The next 5 to 10 years are going to be magnificent. And we believe that truth will win out in the stock market. As far as we're concerned, innovation today is being treated like value was in the late 90s. And we know how that ended. We believe that innovation will win. And our research buttresses that conclusion.
I highly recommend that you check out where Cathy Wood reflects what went wrong in 2022 and makes her bold predictions for 2023. You don't want to miss it.